What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. My name's Tom Costanza. I'm not normally this tan. I just got back from the beach, so I'm a little bit crispy. But today, we're going to be using this Joy book that is a gift from my grandma. So Grandma, I know you're watching this video. Thank you for this book. We're going to be making Irish soda bread. Let's get right into the video. Well, the recipe calls for 2 mixing bowls. Since my mixing bowls are dirty from last week's video, which I made black bottom cupcakes, go check that video out. We're going to be using regular bowls for eating. But in one bowl, we're going to do dry, another bowl, we're going to do wet. In our dry bowl, we're going to add 1 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Following that is going to be 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now we're getting into our baking ingredients that are going to cause our chemical reaction. Baking soda and baking powder. Baking powder first, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Following that is just 1/2 teaspoon of salt. All right, and we can mix up all of our dry ingredients. Okay, now in our wet bowl, we are going to be adding in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. So we're going to be putting in the butter first, that way we can melt it. Basically just 1/2 stick. Melt. You don't want it hot, you just want it melted. These are the rest of our wet ingredients. 1 egg. And then buttermilk. So the acidity from the buttermilk is supposed to mix with the baking soda and baking powder, cause a chemical reaction, and that's going to be what's causing the rise. So it's important we keep these separate and combine them right before we're ready to put them in the oven. It's also important that before you start this, you're setting the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, all we need is 2/3 cups of buttermilk. Right in. All right, now what I'm going to do is just mix together our wet ingredients first. Make sure that's a little bit combined. And now we're going to put everything into our dry ingredients. Now it's important here that we don't over knead it or over mix it, because if you over mix it, then it's not really going to rise in the oven and you're just going to have a very dense bread. So we're just going to mix it very carefully until it's well combined first. And then once everything's well combined, I'm just going to be adding in some raisins, about 1 cup. Okay, now we're going to move this off to the side, and we're going to sprinkle down a generous portion of flour. We need to get our mixture out of our bowl, onto the flour. Now it's very important with this bread, we're not kneading it. This is a quick bread because of the baking soda. So all we're going to be doing is forming it into a loaf. We're just getting some extra flour to throw on our bread, put on our hands, since it's a very hydrated bread. I would say this is about where we want it, about 6 to 7 inches. Now we're going to be grabbing a cast iron skillet And we are going to be just putting our dough ball into the cast iron skillet. Okay, just like this. It's okay that our cast iron skillet is cold. We want it cold. Now, last thing, we are going to be taking a blade or a very sharp knife and just making a cross in our dough. There we go. Now we go into the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so we have our Irish soda bread here. It looks really good. It's cooling down. I think to make things a little bit easier and cooling down, we're just going to transfer it to a wire rack and then really set it down to cool until it's completely room temperature. Then we're going to cut into it, add some butter, and eat a slice. I will see you when it's cooled down. Okay, so after about 2 hours of fully cooling, we have our Irish American soda bread. Supposedly we Americanized it by adding raisins to it. I like raisins, so it's okay. Let's cut into it. Maybe it is still a little warm. Okay, so we have our piece. Now we need to add just a little bit of butter to it. All right, here we go. I'm a fan. I know it's supposed to be a little bit dry, and it kind of is, but I guess when we Americanized it, the raisins add moisture to it, and also the butter is just a nice complement. But it's really good. Thank you, Grandma, for the recipe. All right, everybody, that's all I have for this one. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't drink too much Guinness. Remember to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys next Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.